So, guys, I want to talk about the Demon Slayer movie, and somebody was making an interesting argument that the Demon Slayer movie can actually be a very bad influence on anime, and it also can destroy all of anime because, their argument is that, when you have animes that are done in seasons and or in series or something like that, maybe Demon Slayer can inspire a bunch of people to say, hey, you know what? We're actually going to do more movies than actually season episodes and stuff like that, really. For example, in my opinion, the greatest arc of Naruto was the Pain arc. That was kind of the transformation from Naruto the kid into Naruto, becoming the Hokage or being like that, in that role of the child to the man, really. So imagine, what you did that one, and the first movie was just like the battle between, it was like from the beginning where Dry dies. Let's say you do one arc and it's just all about Dry and him dying, and then the next movie you do is the Battle of Konoha, which is all the ninjas, and then ends with Naruto and Pain. And then the third arc is the resolution, really. Or even if you end it with the second movie with Hinata almost dying or thinking that she dies. Like, I think that you could have a really great movie. Like, that could make a lot of money at the box office, but there would be other problems with that. Like, that's a very famous arc. So I do want to talk about why there's issues with that. That first of all, Demon Slayer, and with any of these things, if you watch a bunch of episodes and it's done like a year or half a year or whatever, that's a good time commitment because it's like, what, we all have really, really busy lives. The other issue is that there is manga out there and there's other information about how the story goes, really. So it's almost like, if you have something like the Demon Slayer movie, you're spending 6 years on an arc, but there'll be a lot of people reading the manga and knowing what happens, really. And there's also spoiler videos and other shit like that, so you automatically know what's going to happen instead of just being committed to 3 movies or over a period of 6 years, really. So that's also one of the big issues with the Demon Slayer film is that also as well, really, that unfortunately, I was watching Instagram and they showed you a list of everybody who dies in the story, really. So you automatically know how the movies are going to play out, really, who's going to live, who's going to die. And then also, too, when that is done, really, I think the other issue that I would say is that that sometimes in life it's not about who dies or how the story ends. It's not what happens, what person dies, what way the story ends. It's how you get to that point, how you do the emotional journey to that. So that's also a very powerful thing as well, really. So I really think that it's like a time commitment. Like I said, 6 years on a story arc versus maybe 6 months. The other thing too is that there's always information out there about which character survives or not, because just people who read the manga. And then the other thing too is that sometimes, as I said, really, that making a movie is a large investment, really, because for the Demon Slayer movie it's like $20 million, but there are times when that amount of money can bankrupt a studio if it doesn't do well, really. Or there may be other people that are like, well, maybe Demon Slayer on the second movie we're gonna make the budget 100 million, and if it, even if it makes 200 or 300 million, we're going to make the third movie maybe 500 million or something like that, really, and maybe it doesn't break it, really. So there is a lot of just talking points too. But I really think that whenever you have an anime series, I think my philosophy is this: is that ultimately, if you're gonna make a bunch of movies about it, I would say ultimately do it every year. I would say like Lord of the Rings. I like how that was every year instead of every 2 years. The other thing too about it is that understanding that the source material is out there so people can understand how the movie goes or how it's going to end, really, and who's going to live, who's going to die. So there's no sense of build, really, because if somebody says, oh well, I'm going to wait a year, that's no problem. But if it's going to be 2 years, then that's going to be a large time commitment. And I also think that another issue is fatigue, really, because the problem is that there's a lot of people talking about Demon Slayer. It's in the cultural zeitgeist and other things like that, and it may inspire other anime series to kind of do seasons within series, I meant seasons within movies and stuff like that. So it may inspire, a pattern where people are like, okay, that's how we're gonna do it, and then you may have oversaturated market, or you may have that situation like I said before. It's a time commitment. Like you're it may be like a multi-part story done over 6 years instead of just done over a period of like like 3 years or something like that. Or even if you did something like, okay, we're gonna show all three movies in like 2 years, like we're gonna do like maybe 2 parts this year or 2 parts next year or something like that, really. So I do kind of wonder where this Demon Slayer thing is going to go, really. And then also too, like with Naruto and other things like that, everything kind of fades out in a way. Like with Pokemon, imagine if they had all the Pokemon movies in theaters, it would not be making like the ones nowadays wouldn't be making them over $1 million, really, because there'd be so much oversaturation. Or even look at Naruto. Like I think like if you ever made Boruto the movie, put it in a theater with how people have criticized Boruto, or even if you did like a Naruto movie and put it in theaters, and you did like maybe a continuation or you took one of the novels or the light novels and you turned it into something, maybe it wouldn't draw because it's like a law of diminishing return, really. So I think that I'm happy for the Demon Slayer movie being successful, but I do think there's a lot of talking points of possibly how it could be detrimental as well, really. Like I think, as I said, it's really experimental to see. After 6 years, if they're all profitable movies, after 6 years, are they going to the Academy Awards? After 6 years, are we still interested in the story after 6 years? Who's interested in the story, knowing that the source material is out there and other things like that. And, people are going to know how it goes, really. So there's a lot of different talking points of whether Demon Slayer, the movie, is actually, long term, what impact is it going to have once all the three Infinity Castle movies are done.